the Architectural Review Board to order. Before we could get into the substance of the agenda, I first have to go through a few preliminary matters, including motions. And first, we have to vote on the audibility of remote board member participants. I need to verify that for each member participating remotely, the remote participant's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for the meeting room. Confirmation of their location and that their remote participation comports with the policy. Board Member Rapetti, can you please state for the record your location and the reason you are participating remotely?
I am in Centerville in the Sully District, and I am participating remotely because of an unforeseen health issue with my pet.
Sorry. Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Board Member Rapetti can be heard clearly and that her remote participation comports with the policy.
Is there a second? Ms. Hamnick, I saw first, second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The ARB also needs to determine how long each member of the public will be able to speak during the public comment period. The public will be allowed to comment after the consent agenda items and after each action item as standard ARB practice. Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, I move that each member of the public have 3 minutes to speak.
Is there a second? Ms. Orr, seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. This meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be posted online in 10 days. As a standard ARB practice, we begin every meeting by reading the statement of purpose and intent of historic overlay districts, and Mr. Daniel has kindly agreed to read that this evening.
Historic overlay districts are created for the purpose of promoting the general welfare, education, economic prosperity, and recreational pleasure of the public through the perpetuation of those general areas or individual structures and premises that have been officially designated by the Board of Supervisors as having historical, cultural, architectural, or archaeological significance. Regulations within such districts are intended to protect against destruction of or encroachment upon such areas, structures, and premises, to encourage uses which will lead to their continuance, conservation, and improvement in a manner appropriate the preservation of the cultural, social, economic, political, architectural, and archaeological heritage of the county, to prevent the creation of environmental influences adverse to such purposes, and to assure that new structures and uses within such districts will be in keeping with the character to be preserved and enhanced.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Next, I need a motion to approve the agenda. Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve the agenda for the May 8th, 2025 meeting as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Burns, seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We have an agenda. I remind all applicants to please limit your project presentations to 8 minutes for a first submission, and anyone here for a resubmission to 3 minutes while focusing on anything that has changed based on the last time you were before us. I don't think we have any guests to introduce or recognize this evening, do we, Denise?
Chris Evans is here, and he is the staff coordinator representing the appeal of the use of language.
All right, thank you, Denise, and thank you, Mr. Evans. We do not have any consent calendar items this evening, so that brings us into our items for action. Our first item for action is ARB 2025 MV 00009 LOR 04, 9030 Powerhouse Road. The applicant is proposing the location of an outdoor HVAC unit installation related to the adaptive reuse of building P12. And Mr. Hardin and Mr. Nanny are here, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. So this will just be the HVAC, and then
Yes, sir.
we'll do the other one after.
Our presentation might have the HVAC toward the end. Maybe I'll use.
And I still have, you sent 2 separate documents, they're separate, so just let me know when to switch.
No, this is the only one we need to present.
Okay.
The other one is just more supporting documents, not relevant to this. If we're starting with the HVAC, that is towards the end of the presentation. If you want to keep going until we get there. One more, there we go, HVAC. So good afternoon, my name is Nikolai Dudzinski with Dunning Group Architects on Sport Rock. I'm here on behalf of Bob Dunning. We're discussing our HVAC for Sport Rock Lorton here. We provided a image and the general specs for the outdoor units. Our general size is 66.5 inches in height, 51.5 inches in width, and 31.5 inches in depth. If you have any questions, let me know. These are just our general specs we received. If you could go to the next slide, please. We've also included an image in the specs of the entry penetrations for the refrigerant lines that are entering the building from these units. These are the only two slides we have regarding HVAC.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any members of the public wish to comment on this one? Yes, sir.
Hi, Keith Sheldon, South County Federation. We're here once again to give our support for.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other comments? Not seeing any, I turn it over to my board members for any comments or motions. Ms. Orr.
Thank you for the photographs of other units.
Yes,
That helped.
this will be the prettiest one of the
By far.
Yes, Mr. Plumpy.
Sure, just confirm, these are on the front side of the building, correct? Okay. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Any motions? Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, I move the ARB approve action item ARB 2025 MB 00009 LOR 04 located at 9030 Powerhouse Road in Lorton, in the Laurel Hill MOA eligible district for the installation of outdoor HVAC units related to the adaptive reuse of building P12 into a climbing gym as submitted and presented at the May 8, 2025 ARB meeting. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025 MV 00009 LOR 04 as approved by the ARB on May 8, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of the memorandum of agreement for the Lorton Laurel Hill eligible district and zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
Ms. Mangum, do you second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. That brings us to action item number 2, which is ARB 2025 MV 00009 LOR 06 9030 Powerhouse Road site improvements. Applicants proposing multiple site improvements related to the adaptive reuse of building P12. Sir, why don't you tell us what you have for this one?
Absolutely. So last time we were here, we were asked to elaborate a little more on a couple key areas. The first being outdoor hardscape. As seen here in the courtyard site plan, we have provided further delineation between the existing patio hardscape and the new hardscape as illustrated with the hatched patterns around the existing space. We have also provided further dimensions and notes to help clarify what things are and where. You can go to the next slide. On this slide, continuing with hardscape, we've provided a detailed plan with further dimensions and notes regarding the fence and patio space. We've also included elevation details of the typical fence and gate sections, and we've provided panic hardware on the egress gates and an example of what that panic hardware would look like on such a gate. Next slide, please. Here we have our fence elevations on all three sides, just showing typical fence sizes and widths and heights, and again, some general notes. We have also added a pedestrian wayfinding signage detail from page 14 of the Liberty approved comprehensive sign plan. We plan on including 3 of these signs next to each egress gate, just for pedestrian wayfinding. Next slide, please. We were asked to go further into our lighting. Our primary lighting is 4 post-mounted adjustable fixtures, 1 on each post. We've included the photometric study, which illustrates a 5-foot by 5-foot grid, where the recommended average for outdoor recreational areas is approximately 20-foot candles. And based on our study, our average is 26-foot candles, which is very good. Next slide, please. We have 2 other light types, the first being catenary lights, which are mounted at our canopy tension cables. We provided the specs here. These catenary lights are intended to supplement the primary lighting to ensure there are no shadows cast by the boulder, and these will be field adjusted as needed. Next slide, please. Our next set of light is our string lights, also mounted on the canopy tensile structure. These are more aesthetic in nature, and both the catenary and string lights are more for ambience and do not have any significant impact on the photometric study. Next slide, please. And now we're back to HVAC. If you could go to the slides after the two HVAC slides, there was one more item we would like to introduce. We were not asked to cover this, but we would like to bring it to your attention anyway. This is an additional item we'd like you to review regarding the tensile structure and canopy that we did not discuss last time. We provided this updated rendering with our new proposed shade colors and the lighting, as you can see here. Next slide, please. And then here we can see our tensile structure plan, our overall dimensions, and updated elevation with our shade heights, attachment heights. We provided a typical post and footing detail, as well as our proposed shade colors.
I just want to make one comment. The rendering made it look a little bit more of an orange or a red. Those are our two canopy colors seen down below.
Correct. And that was just the lighting from the string lights casting an orange glow on the render. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments from the public on this one?
Sir? Once again, Keith Sheldon, South County Federation, give our support to the application.
Any other comments? No other comments? I turn it over to board members for any of their questions or comments. Mr. Plumpy, then Mr. Burns.
Real quickly, I only went through it quick and I can't quite read how high the fence is. 6 feet tall total?
8 feet.
8 feet tall, okay, thank you. And then with the lighting itself, after hours, what lights will be on in the back? 0 or none or all?
0. Yeah, after the operating hours of the gym,
It's black.
it'll be off. And
Okay.
the way we're thinking about it now, our gym is typically open until 11 o'clock at night. We're thinking we're going to close the outdoor area an hour before
Thank you.
and essentially close the gym on a staggered basis. So, our expectation is we'll have shut it down outside at 10. We'll shut down the interior at 11. Staff will go home and it will be dark.
Okay, and then will the lights be able to be dimmable if needed?
Correct.
Okay, and I know these are LEDs. I know they look out and they blind you. I know there's no shroud on the pole lights or so forth. Is your, that rendering there, is that realistic with the amount of spillover light into the lawn area? Meaning, is it,
Not
a true
necessarily.
representation?
Not entirely. It's
Like, for
more
instance-
representative.
For instance, for the table where the penny tables are, what is the foot candles in that area? You said you had the foot candles, yeah,
I don't believe
volumetric
our
plan
study
done.
covers that.
Go outside the fence.
Well, the lighting does.
The lights do, but the
Yeah.
measures don't.
Yeah, it's a shame. It'd be good to see that, frankly, because right now at the edge of the fence, what is that? Where the gate is, the lower gate, which is...
38, it varies 38, 16, depending.
I'm sorry, what's the middle
It
one?
varies from 30, in the middle.
Yeah, 18.5 it looks like, right?
Correct.
Which is quite bright, frankly. In this room we're in, we're like 10-foot candles right now. So as you can see, usually street lamps and so forth are like 2-foot candles, 1 to 2 foot candles like in a public plaza or so forth, so it's not so hard on the eyes. I'm a little concerned about the amount of light. I know you need to climb. I know there's a lot of spillover light, which, I think this representation is probably a little weak on the rendering there. I think it's going to be quite a bit brighter than what you show in your color rendering, your tensile structure lighting plan.
I guess the point I would make is that the light will be dimmable. So to the extent we're out there and we feel like, okay, this is too bright, we'll be able to adjust that. And
That's why I'm asking for the...
Yeah, the primary, our use, we're a rock climbing gym company. And the boulder is out there for people to be able to climb on at night. If we weren't going to have it for night climbing, we wouldn't have the lighting.
Okay.
And so we need to be bright enough that people can make out the color of the holds and they're not obscured by shadow, but not so bright that our own clients would turn around from the boulder to walk back to sit down and be blinded by the
So I
lights.
agree. I'm not...
That's how we're planning to fine tune it.
Okay, and then you had, in your lighting package, you had, I would call it the sward lights versus the bollards or the lights. Are you using those anywhere?
We've eliminated those.
Okay, so that's...
Yeah, we talked that was great feedback in the
Yeah,
last
okay,
meeting.
thank you.
What we were trying to solve there is many of the bouldering walls are overhanging. And so you want some way to illuminate it in some degree of an uplighting condition that similarly, when a client drops off the wall and they're walking back, they're not having light shining in their face.
So
So the bollard was the attempt at that. The problem with the bollards was they're not a great light fixture.
Yeah.
Two, the only place that worked on our padding was for them to be outside of the fence,
Right.
which I think at the end of the day was infeasible.
We got plenty of light.
We do. So what we're doing here with the catenary lights that we can adjust on the steel tensile,
Okay.
on the tension lines for the fabric, we'll be able to just move those around to adjust to eliminate any shadow. As Jeremy and his team are constantly changing the holds on the boulder, some of the holds are really small. Some of the holds are as large as this podium, and by themselves can interfere with light. So we need the ability to just move those catenary lights inward and outward on the steel tendons to put them in exactly the right spot. So I do think those will be dynamic and will change all the time as we need them to.
Okay.
I'm trying to go with your recommendation of the Vega pictures on that one.
Excuse me?
Your recommendation of the Vega
Is
pictures?
that what you had, Chuck?
Like the catenary light.
Correct.
Yeah, I was thinking of the other pole.
Yeah.
We went through the website carefully. They didn't have a good pole-mounted fixture that would work for our
Okay.
use. We looked, but the catenary fixture is a great one.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that there's not so much glare and spillover. I mean, it's great for the boulder, but as the walker by and so forth. Listen, I want to support it. I just want to make sure that it's the right choice here. I think that's why I'm glad it's dimmable and so.
They're also oriented.
What's that?
They're also oriented.
Yeah.
They're on the post facing into the boulder. So for somebody who's walking on the walk beside it, there certainly will be light spill, but they will be behind the fixture as opposed to in front of the
I
fixture.
just want to make sure the guys on the picnic table are not blind and the light shining on the boulder. That's my really.
Yeah, we agree. And most of the people who will be out at those picnic tables will be either our own clients or like the parents of our clients, for example. So having a nice environment for them is really important to us as well.
Or it could be me.
It could be.
The other thing is, I know the furniture, most of your furniture is loosely placed on the concrete. I've seen the picnic tables are bolted down.
Correct.
So what's the plan so the furniture doesn't walk, each night you walk in, put it inside the fence and walk in it and walk it back out?
Ideally, because of an 8-foot fence, we're going to hope we're going to keep a lot of the prospective vandals out of there.
No, but I mean, some of the furniture, some of the loose furniture, is that all
No,
inside?
sir,
the
all that
fence?
will be bolt on. We changed that by recommendation of a couple feet access.
Okay, but those loose tables and chairs are inside the fence?
Correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
That's important. We need them to not walk away. The bigger issue, quite frankly, for us as a climate gym, is that table gets turned 90 degrees and someone uses it to get over a sun. So for both reasons,
And
it needs to be affixed to the ground.
Thank you. And out of curiosity, for inclusionary purposes, is there ways to have physically challenged people help climb the wall? It's all ADA compliant to get out there, and then you can help.
It is. We, in fact, Sport Rock runs a not-for-profit called Upending Parkinson's, where we focus on people suffering from Parkinson's and teaching them to climb. I was at the gym this morning and we had 38 Parkinson's folks who, difficult disease, you'll see them shuffle to the wall and absolutely bloom on the wall. So yeah, it's near and dear to our heart, and there are more people who will want to climb with disabilities than just those who suffer from Parkinson's. So we're all over that.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that's all my questions are now. Thank you.
Mr. Burns.
A simple question. What is the color temperature of the LED bulbs? And is it adjustable? And do you plan on varying it?
They are adjustable. I don't have the exact color temperature.
They look warm and
In the rendering,
in
they-
the renderings they look warm.
Yes.
But for the record, it would be nice to know what your intent is there.
Yeah.
Would that have been in the submittal?
It should.
It probably would be.
If it was, I
Describe
missed
to
it.
the 40K, is that the temperature?
No. You went 3,000 to 2,600 is your sweet spot. Not too white, not too yellow.
I'm just looking at the language on that.
So it's 4,000. That's still too.
It says 40K in one of these lights.
That's not.
I could be reading the wrong.
But it'd be great if you.
Oh, it costs 40K, okay.
We're using the highlighted light.
Yeah.
Highlighted is the one.
It doesn't really tell the Kelvin level, the temperature of the light. That's what Mr. Burns is asking.
Right.
Well, let me rephrase that won't be a question, it'll be a recommendation that you keep it on the warm side.
I totally understand.
3,000 degrees Kelvin, or
Yes.
thereabouts,
Yeah.
which is closer to what you consider domestic lighting. I think would be more appropriate in this environment.
And especially more that, I think it would fit in more with the resident, and, it's an older historic building, we wouldn't mind blue light out
Right, you
there.
wouldn't want it. Yeah, no, I totally understand.
Yeah, 3,000.
Was that all, Mr. Burns?
That's all.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Daniel?
So in the packet I have, there are those older lights. Those aren't being used now.
The bollards are not being used.
Bollard lights.
Yeah, so it sounds like maybe we didn't catch that in the package. We did have, we did swap them from the rendering.
I was going to say that these light poles,
Yeah, those are no.
those are not being used. These LED poles.
Not anymore.
No, okay.
There's 3 light.
These.
They're not.
Correct, yeah,
that's
all right.
Older
submission.
Okay, they're in the packet that we got sent, so when you were saying they weren't in there and I saw them up there, I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure if there's an inconsistency with what's being shown here. I think that's personally surmountable by describing it as that they won't be used in any modification we put on it. I just wanted to make sure I understood, because unless someone else around here is making the motion, I'm probably the one who's going to make it.
Yeah. Before we get to Mr. Plumpy, one of our board members, Ms. Wong, is not here, and I just want to make sure I read her comments into the record. She says she supports the proposal and has no further comment. Mr. Plumpy.
Sure. For the picnic tables, at least one has to be ADA compliant, wheelchair accessible.
But we went through, you liked one of the ones that we had on this list,
Okay.
with that one. We're going with that one.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion? Yes, Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item, ARB 2025 MV 00009 LOR 06, located at 9030 Powerhouse Road in Lorton, in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible district for site improvements related to the adaptive reuse of building P12 into a climbing gym as submitted and presented at the May 8, 2025 ARB meeting, subject to the following modifications: that lighting surrounding the boulder, consider using 3000 K lighting, temperature lighting, and that the bollard lighting be stricken from the design drawings because it's not being pursued by the applicant. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025 MV 00009 LOR 06 as approved by the ARB on May 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of the MOA for the Lorton Laurel Hill eligible district and zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
Brian, you have that?
I do. Question, the light pole lighting, did you mean to include that also?
He referred to it as bollard in.
It's the lighted column
Yes,
light.
they are not being used in the design.
Yep, everything's good.
Okay, is there a second? Mr. Plumpy, I sign first. Mr. Plumpy, second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to climb.
We'll have you up for the grand opening.
All right, thank you so much. You guys have a good evening. All right, that brings us to our third item, ARB 2025 MV 00018 7704 Elbow Road Special Permit. The applicant is proposing a special permit for a 50% setback reduction along the south property line for construction for the extension of a roof associated with the project, which we previously saw last year. Mr. McNamara, you represent the application. Sir, you have the floor. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Mr. McNamara. Before you begin, Mr. Burns has a statement he has to make.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, John Burns, declare my personal interest in transactions brought before the Architectural Review Board involving the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District, and specifically state the following for the May 8, 2025 ARB meeting. Although it is the opinion of the county attorney's office that generally I am not legally required to make a formal disclosure statement before reviewing ARB cases in Holland Hills, I am making this statement in the interest of transparency and to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest. I own and reside in a home in the Holland Hills HOD. The properties under consideration tonight are not adjacent to or visible from my property. I have not worked with or received a gift or benefit from anyone associated with these projects. Accordingly, I am able to participate in the transactions fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Mr. McNamara, now you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. I am Mr. McNamara. I
appreciate the opportunity to talk tonight. Denise, thank you again for all of your help in this process. Mr. Chairman, it might make some sense to actually put the order of these two things because the special permit is a direct result of feedback we got when my architect presented back in September. So I mean, I can do it that way if you'd like. I mean, I can do it sort of in reverse order.
What if we present them together and then we'll just vote on them separately? How about
Okay. So you can see this is exactly what we're proposing is an open roof extension from the house. There's a deck that's in serious need of replacement now. The roof line comes out to the existing footprint, and then there'll be a nice little round architectural element to the new deck that's put in, and then there'll be a steel post to support the new roof line. Next slide, please. This is a street view of where the proposed project is happening. You can see the rather sad deck there. Next slide. More of the same. Keep going. Just different views. And you can keep going. Keep going. Okay, this is another rendering of you can see that this part of the house, and it's at the very end of this side of the house. Keep going. Top view. You can see the round piece of the deck. You can see right here, the two main pieces of information were counsel that we got from you guys last time was this needed to be a little bit cleaner in design, and so we did that. Also, we were trying to stay within the setback, and so there was a clipped corner here. You may remember that. So we got rid of that. And so what you see is that the roof line, which would have come out to about here, has been pushed back a little bit. All right, so that it's within the setback. And if you keep going, one more time. Okay, one more time. I'm sorry, my architect put this together and sent it to me, but one more time. Okay, so here you can see this is what we're proposing. This is the roof line. As you can see again, it is a little bit set back from the deck, so that we stay within setback lines. Only other thing I want to add is that last time when we presented, I don't think we had DRC final approval. DRC has approved the project, and neighbors have been notified, and they're very supportive. Happy to entertain questions.
Okay. Let's do the special permit first, since I introduced that. So does any member of the public wish to comment about the special permit? Not all at once. Okay, perfect. All right, so I will turn it over to my board members first to discuss the special permit, not the alterations themselves. Any comments or questions about that? Mr. Burns.
Remembering from the workshop we presented previously, clipping the corner of the roof, the consensus of the ARB members who were present that night was that would not be in harmony and conformity with the rest of the community to suddenly clip off something like that. And because of that, we suggested that the applicant pursue either scooting back a bit to avoid the setback or to seek I think it's a special permit. So that it could be encroached slightly into the to the setback area. Visually, I think it will be almost imperceptible because it's mostly open. It's just an edge of a roof that's projecting. It's not a solid piece at all. So I think this will have a very, very minimal impact as it approaches the setback. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Other comments?
It's encroaching on the other side too. It encroaches on the front property.
Slightly. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and it will be a very nice place, but I have difficulty with us having to say, to the special permit people that we are backing it. So I will not vote for it, even though it's a beautiful project, for the special permit segment. But I'm only one, and I'm just telling you why. I just, that's just my,
Okay.
so that'll be why I'll say no. So it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Ms. May.
Would it be typical, and I realize that it's a very minimal encroachment, but would you typically request feedback from neighbors or affected adjacent property owners?
If it goes for a special permit, I believe the county asks for comment from neighbors. Yeah.
Okay, so that hasn't occurred yet, but it may occur, would occur as part of the actual approval of the permit. Okay.
Oh, you did indicate you spoke to your neighbors, so.
Yes, well, the Holland Hills Design Review Committee has a neighbor notification process as part of their approval process. So I have spoken with people that can directly see the proposed change. And they're very supportive.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the clarification. Thank
I
you.
have a technical question. So if we approve the special permit at a later date, could it be enclosed without having, obviously we'd have to approve the enclosure, our board would, but like this special permit has nothing to do that it's open. It has to do with the extension.
Right, which is then why we have the subsequent item about the alterations that
Yeah.
we made, and then if there were any
I don't know if
alterations to the alterations, it would have to come back.
Because I support it as designed, but I don't know if I would support the special permit if it was an enclosed,
It would have
close by.
It would have
But
to come back. It would have to come back. It would have to.
Well, it didn't mean anything. We absolutely have no plans to do that.
But your home will live beyond you. That sounds very morbid. Sorry, that's preservation talk. We tend to think in 50-year increments.
I understand. It makes perfect sense.
All right.
Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to.
Often the special permit will have, the conditions.
Right.
Okay.
And because of the proximity to setbacks, often they won't allow enclosure and stuff like that. But the special permit will have that kind of wording as well.
Mr. Daniel.
I agree with Mr. Burns. I think one, not clipping it is a better decision. I don't have issues with the design. I agree with Ms. Orr about the setbacks, but I also think because we're dealing with a roof line in this situation and not an entire building, I'm more willing to be acquiescent to this point. We've had this issue before with a few projections of roof lines crossing into the setback, and I'm willing to find this one, I think, again, as Sammy's pointed out, because it is just a roof or a porch, and it's not a full cell construction, I think it's more easy, more palatable that way. So that's my only other thoughts.
I wanted to read in Ms. Huang's comment into the record. She says the proposal shows minimum impact to the existing surroundings. I have no objection to the requested 50% setback reduction for the roof extension. Any other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion. Ms. Hammack.
Okay. I'm sure I got the
Number 3.
Thank you. I've made the mistake before. Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB recommend approval of action item ARB-2025-00018 located at 7704 Elba Road, tax map 1021-1902-0024 in the Holland Hills HOD for the special permit application for a setback reduction as submitted and presented at the May 8th, 2025 ARB meeting. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB-2025-MV-00018 as approved by the ARB on May 8th, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101-historic overlay districts.
Thank you, Ms. Hammack. Seconded by Mr. Daniels. All those in favor? Hold on. Yes, Mr. Burns.
I'm wondering if I may propose a friendly amendment, and that is to add a comment between the two paragraphs. And the statement would be that the ARB finds that the encroachment into the 50% setback area is a better design solution than clipping the roof as was originally proposed.
Is that acceptable to the
Yes.
mover? Is that acceptable to the seconder?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, do you have that? All right, so all those in favor of the motion as amended?
Aye.
All those opposed? One opposition from Ms. Orr. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Okay, so that brings us into ARB 2024 MV 0034 7704 Elbow Road alterations. Applicants proposing extension of the roof with repair and replacement of existing wood deck and concrete patio. Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment? Yeah, she's
Okay.
excuse me. Yeah, no, it's okay. Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on item number 4? Okay, no, great. Members of the board, questions and comments about the alterations now that have been proposed on this project, Ms. Hammond?
Your rendering and the line drawing show 2 skylights. I want to know how far the skylights project above the roof line, because right now it looks very clean, and I'm just wondering, are we then going to actually see 2 skylights above the roof line? Yeah. I know there's not a section drawing to show us, but perhaps you could speak to that, because I can't tell from that.
Sure. Well, I mean, the idea would be to keep the profile as minimal as possible. We don't have specific skylights, although we looked at Veralax, I think, and a couple of others. But the notion would be, as flat as possible.
Other comments or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion if nobody has any other comments or questions. Mr. Danner.
I would be happy to do it, but I know I don't.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be going hoarse by the end of the night. Mr. Chairman, I move the ARB approve action item ARB 2024 MV 00034 located at 7704 Elba Road in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District for proposed alterations as submitted at the May 8, 2025 ARB meeting, subject to the following modifications: that the proposed skylights maintain as low profile as possible. The applicant must request amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2024 MV 00034 as approved by the ARB on May 8, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance 3101 Historic Overlay Districts.
Is there a second? Mr. Burns, second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You are very welcome. You have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too. That's throughout slides.
All right, so that brings us to our 5th item for action, which is ARB 2025 MV 00015 2113 Mason Hill alterations. Applicants proposing interior remodeling and a small addition and enclosure of the existing screened porch. Enclosed area below existing conditions, conditioned space. Giselle Williams represents the application. Good evening to you.
Okay, so I'll start.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think I recognize some of you from last year, although I assume that many homeowners don't come to the ARB twice within the same year, but here we are. And so my wife and I are here as homeowners, and we're here also with Sean Van from our home design and build firm, Abundant Design and Build, and I'll let Sean also introduce himself.
Hi all, I'm Sean Van. I own Abundant Design and Build. I'm also a resident of Holland Hills. I've been in the neighborhood for 12 years, and I've been building the neighborhood for 10. I've done several full restorations on houses in the neighborhood. I'm also on the Civic Association and the liaison to the Design Review Committee as well. And that's who I am. And so I'll let them go take it. And I'm happy to answer questions about the project, of course, as well.
Thank you, sir.
So we'll now turn to slide 2. So, last June, we gave you an overview of our situation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump straight into the project. And during the presentation, I'm going to give you an idea of the history of our project and where we are and what changed since we're back here in June of last year. So if you remember, our house sits on Mason Hill Drive, and we feel very fortunate for how the house sits in the lot, and particularly with our backyard. And on the next, we can turn to the next slide. And I think before I say anything else, I just wanted to reiterate something that we've mentioned last year as well. Like, we're very appreciative of the mission of the ARB. We as homeowners, we love our neighborhood, we love Holland Hills, we appreciate the work that you do, we appreciate the Holland Hills Design Review Board and how they protect what we view as an architectural treasure that we want to stay as a treasure for generations forward. And we're excited to be here too now because we believe that the changes that we've made since June, despite, it's adding more time that we've been outside of our house, have improved our project in the sense that they're more aligned with the needs of our family. And so we're excited about that. Of course, between June and now, it's been another 11 months. And so now it's been over 18 months that we've been out of our house at a tremendous cost financially and emotionally for a family with 2 children.
Small children.
So small children, yes. Yes, one of them was a baby when we found the water leak. And I can tell you a little bit about the water leak, actually. So we can now move to slide, I think it's slide 6. I'm going to go to the history first.
Sorry, we have to jump around a little bit.
Sorry to jump around.
I don't have numbers, so you can just...
Number 6.
One more.
Yeah, one more. Yes, perfect.
Oh, there they are.
So this is just a small timeline with just the main things from our project. And I'm just going to highlight a few things here. So first, in May of 2023, we unfortunately found or detected a hidden water leak in our home. Between May and August, we did water and asbestos remediation that ended up with us losing our kitchen. Our kitchen was down to the studs. We lost our 2 full bathrooms. We lost a wall in the downstairs bathroom that connects to the laundry room. We lost the flooring downstairs. And there's other damage that I might not remember. But, basically our house became inhabitable with this episode. And so in November of 2023, we signed a proposal with Cook Architecture. We came to the ARB in June of 2024 with plans that you all approved. And then fast forwarding to January of this year, we have terminated our relationship with Cook Architecture. We started working with Abundant Design and Build. We have changed the plans in a way that fits our needs more, and we are here now, today. And so let me give you a little bit of the motivation of the project. I think one slide back, please, to slide 5. And so there's 3 points to the motivation of this project. One is we want to turn the misfortune into fortune. We want to turn the misfortune of having had a water leak into an opportunity to modernize our home and to make it more livable for our family. Our second motivation is we want to turn the structural issues that we have as found in our home into a mother-in-law suite. So one, we want to address challenges that now become even bigger of increasing costs of steel. We have had, over this period, both of our parents have had health situations that have made us more aware that we want to add some square footage to our home to allow our aging parents to live with us when needed. And then the third motivation is we want to respect current but add more Goodman. So we want to align the 1975 Tom Kearns edition with the original 1968 Goodman home and add more windows. So we are using this opportunity to enclose the 1975 overhang patio area and bring the northwest elevation more in alignment with the original 1968 Goodman house and the Goodman design principles. So now that I gave you a little bit of an history of the project and the motivation, let me now turn to the scope of the project so that we can give you an idea.
One more.
And so I think now it's back one more. Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. I apologize. Okay, so a few things. So first, we're doing interior alterations to both floor levels, to the upstairs and the downstairs. This includes, among other things, opening our kitchen, adding a primary bathroom, and adding a fifth bedroom as a mother-in-law's ensuite. I want to emphasize here that we're not doing any exterior changes to the original 1968 Goodman house. And the exterior alterations that we're proposing are all in the Tom Kearns edition from 1975. And so a few things. One is, and this first and second bullets, they have been approved. They were part of what we presented in June of last year. So we're proposing changing the existing windows in the northwest elevation of the addition. We're also proposing an alteration to the door window run off of the deck. That's the northeast elevation of the house to accommodate the structural need, and I'll talk about that in detail in the next slide. We do have some needed structural improvements in the house, which we have now addressed by enclosing the overhang patio area that allows us to have more interior space to get them to add that additional mother-in-law ensuite. And as we do that, we will add more Goodman-style windows to our house, again, to bring the Kearns to the Goodman, closer to the Goodman. And then finally, we are going to propose adding windows to the 1975 addition's screened porch while accommodating the use of that space as a primary bathroom. Okay, so let me also, to help put this in perspective, since I think most of you were here in June, I recognize, I think, most of the faces. So now, I think turning to slide 7. Slide 7. Yeah, oh, what changed? What changed, right? Yeah, 7, okay. So what changed? One, we're now enclosing the 1975 Tom Kearns addition, the overhang patio. And by doing that, we're creating an additional 400 square footage of our house, approximately, of finished interior space. By doing that, we can add also several Goodman-style windows to bring the addition's northwest and actually also southwest elevation closer to the Goodman design principles. And then 2, we will,
Can I just add something?
Oh, yeah, you can, of course.
So, sorry, I'm recovering, so I'm a little hoarse. But the original, you'll see in a second what the current house and how it is. But what we brought to you in June had us keeping that patio space open and using steel supports. So the structural needs are basically the addition needs to be posted, right? We don't want it to collapse, which it might if we don't. So, and it had envisioned using quite a bit of steel to create this open steel patio. And I just wanted to address the fact that one of the other issues we want to address is the fact that we live in a world where there are rising costs associated with a lot of building materials, steel being one of them. Steel faces a lot of tariffs. And so in addition to adding living space, that became even more affordable in comparison to keeping an open patio with steel posts. So it made sort of triple sense for us, if you will. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I actually will add one more thing too that we don't have in the slide. In June, Mr. Burns actually had highlighted some concern about the patio. I don't know if you remember, the patio being somewhat dark. And then you even suggested some additional windows to bring more light into that lower part of our house. And so this is actually something that we think addresses also that concern and brings more light to that part of the house, in addition to giving us that additional interior space. So we're happy about that too. Okay, so turning back to the slide. So the second one is we propose modifying the window layout that was previously approved in June of the screen and porch in the Tom Kearns edition to accommodate using that space as a primary bath versus before was a small office plus a walk-in closet. And then number 3, as I noted, to change the door window run off the deck in the northeast elevation to accommodate some structural need. And then number 4, back in June, we had added some work on our deck, and we're not going to address that at this point, and hopefully we'll have another phase, and we'll come back for the deck portion. Okay, so after that, let me turn now to the floor plans. So there will be, I think, slide 8, yeah, we'll keep the order now. So, we know that the IRB is not approving the interior part, but we also wanted to put here the interior floor plan changes so that you have an idea of what we're changing on the inside to explain why we're making the exterior changes. And so very briefly here you can see our primary ensuite with a primary bath here added now to our bedroom, a pantry, and a half bath that is now relocated. We had a half bath there, we're just turning it, and then we're opening our kitchen. And then turning to the next slide, in the lower level, you can see the enclosed overhang patio area now, which allows us to have this mother-in-law ensuite and the bedroom.
And to go back one side, just to clarify, and this may have been clear from what Gisela has already said, I believe all of this portion of the upper floor plan, this was a screened-in porch here, and this was approved by you guys before to enclose this, and so that part sort of, we've changed the interior floor plan, but the exterior has already been technically approved, I guess.
Yeah.
And if I could,
Yeah, please.
no, I just wanted to, if you could try to move it along a little bit so we can get to our questions and stuff.
Absolutely.
Just because we have a large agenda.
Okay,
Sure.
absolutely. We'll turn to the elevations now, and we'll talk about so next slide, please. So perfect. Okay, so let's focus on the northeast elevation. And let me start on the top. So the top windows over here, these windows, these are changes that were approved in June. These were basically the changes to the windows were made, we're slightly raising this a little bit, and we eliminated the bottom windows to allow kitchen run that we had projected there. So we're keeping those changes back from June. And then number 2, we are adding windows to the screen and porch over there. So there's these windows over here. And then
Keeping the bottom in alignment.
yeah, actually, and then aligning the windows along the house, keeping these aligned. And then number 3, this is new. The entire bottom elevation is new, right? It's where we're enclosing the overhang patio and adding the Goodman style windows. And then, Jonathan, if we could move to the southwest elevation so that it's slide number 15. So if we wrap around the house, right, from the northwest to the southwest elevation, then you can see also in the enclosed area now more 2 windows and the door in Goodman style that we're adding there, and then 1 more window that we're adding to the screen and porch. And these windows, so basically that area is the bathroom, the primary bath, and we're hoping this window will be above our bathtub.
Part of the hope.
The homeowner's desire.
To be able to soak them up.
Okay, and so then the northeast elevation, finally, so not much changes in the front portion of the house. I think the only thing we're doing is we're removing, so we have a sliding door. So we're removing the sliding door, and we're actually adding a window in Goodman style, and then we're having this window that is similar to what we have in the current version of the house. And this part is added because of a structural need that we need a little bit of we need a post there. Oh yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah. This is very similar. What you approved in June had the door and 2 full Goodman style windows. And the reason we've brought this back and we've sort of taken the element that was here and put it here is because of the structural need for a post to support a beam that we are raising so that we can enlarge the encased opening between the current kitchen and the addition to make it flow better. We need a beam there, and so we are having a custom bookcase built to sort of be part, the beam will be part of that. And so to do that was why we've lost that full window design element and gone back to sort of the...
And we're turning it into a bookshelf.
Yeah, we're turning it into a bookshelf, yeah.
which we need to.
Yes, we need lots of bookshelves.
We need lots of, yeah. And so to not take much more of your time, the last two slides have our proposed new exterior materials. There's some text here explaining the windows that we're picking, the door, the exterior doors with the wood frame and the glass, the trim and the siding, and then we have some pictures in the next slide of the windows and the door.
Concept.
And the concept, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any members of the public wish to comment on this one? Okay, board members, questions and comments? Ms. Hammack.
I appreciate your really thorough presentation. I think you've put a lot of thought, probably more thought, it seems like maybe you wanted to, given how long it's taken. I just have two questions. The railing on the front elevation, I was unclear if you were replacing that or not.
We are not currently replacing.
Okay, so you
not
just,
the deck railing.
you've just made it
Made it
invisible.
transparent so that you
So
can
you
see the
could
door.
see
Yes.
the,
Yeah.
Okay.
It is our goal to eventually replace
That's
this.
our next thing.
That would be nice, but if
Yes.
it's, that's fine. Okay.
We
And-
agree.
When we address the deck, we would like to
Okay.
change, yeah.
And that problem for another day. To be, am I right that that's not visible from any public?
It's not.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was my two questions.
We have a lot of bamboo too, so even our neighbors.
Oh, we worry more about the elevations, but it can be seen from the public right away, so that's why I asked.
Thank you, Ms. Hammack. Other questions or comments? Mr. Daniel.
So I think, again, appreciate the detailed explanation. I'm remembering the plan we approved before, and I think the only area I was, focusing on was the changes to the lower floor that's going to be enclosed in, and I don't think I have an issue with that. I think it actually, before we were trying to make something lighter and more workable, and I think with the lights and the windows, I think that achieves that, but it still looks different enough with the Kearns addition. I'm not necessarily bothered by it, so I think that works from my perspective. That's all the comments I have.
Thank you. Mr. Plumpy.
In the elevation with the railing on it.
The front of the house.
Yeah, it looks like you're putting the skirt underneath the railing now. Before there was no skirt, the total exposed bottom of the deck, so you're enclosing part of the deck.
I think that might actually be showing, actually, that's a wonderful question.
What was the question?
Do you have an answer for that, Sean? I'm sorry, I don't think, we thought we had thought of every single detail, and now you've thought of something else. Well, I can, yes, we do want to enclose it with the same T11 siding that is in front, for two reasons. One, we were envisioning it as, there's a gap there between where the deck is, and we are going, our hope is that we'll gravel it, probably have to do a French drain for drainage, and then have it be, we can put our bikes in there and those sorts of things. But also, we have two small children. We have a 7-year-old and a 2 and 3-month-old who thinks he's about 6. And we're going gray because of it. But we would really like to not have, it's scary, walking up to the house. Of course, that's where they want to run and jump down. And it would be really nice to have it so that they can't do that.
So it'll be accessed from the side, a
Yes.
door or something, and it'll be waterproof, so you'll have that deck to be waterproof, so the water doesn't go in there and damage your bikes.
Yes.
As Ms. Hammack noted, that the railing is being changed. Since you have children, is there a picket, or is it a cable rail, or what is it?
We're not changing
We're not
the
changing
railing.
it right
Okay,
now.
I'm sorry.
Not right
Yeah.
You just showed it so you could see
We would like
the
to.
windows.
Exactly. The rendering was so that you could see the changes
Got
to
it.
the
Okay, and that's a solid wood
Right
panel?
now.
It is, it's solid, and it is the same
The siding,
T11
yeah.
siding
Got it.
that's on the outside of it. Yeah. You can see it there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We would love for it to be more open one day.
Yes, we would love to open it. It will be our next.
Thank you for showing the picture.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Burns.
Yeah, actually, I believe this is better than what you had last June, in my own mind. I like could you show the elevation rendering of what I would call the street facade.
Yes, it's too forward, I think.
Yeah, I forget what compass direction you would call that.
Oh, back, there. Well,
No,
northwest, right? Northwest.
the long elevation.
I actually think it might be
There.
southwest.
Yeah, we use
Sort of.
the
We
same
struggled with
direction.
that.
I believe we use the same directions that were on the 2024
On the June.
but it is not actually northwest.
It is facing the street.
It is, yes, but it's angled. And
This is primarily what you see
It is.
from the street.
Yeah.
So what is the material of the band board between the first and second floor below the original Kearns addition?
this trim,
I think we'll probably use a PVC tray.
Okay. So, because I think you need that to carry that horizontality across the house, and you might consider, if and when you do the deck, to carry that line across.
Yeah.
As a means of establishing a base for the second floor. I'm flattered you thought my suggestion to bring more light into the lower level on this facade works, because actually adds more usable space.
it does.
That would have been essentially lost or underutilized.
I think that was part of the logic when I began meeting with them, that, we were essentially doing all of the structural work to shore this up, including underpinning it and everything. That was what was in the plans to begin with, but they were gaining almost very little square footage. The screened-in porch was the only square footage they were gaining. So I think I agree. I think it's an improvement. Obviously, I'm biased, but.
Well, I'll just add, Mr. Burns, we were abroad when we first started looking, and we looked for 2.5 years at homes in Holland Hills. I think Gisela was here in DC working, and I was working overseas, and I would be like, there's an open house this weekend, go. And she went to, I don't even know how many open houses in Holland Hills. We knew we wanted to live in Holland Hills. We love the architecture, and we love the windows. We love the windows. And so I think that's why that comment resonated with us and really,
The only other comment I would make is that you're making changes to a previously approved design, but you're doing it within the massing that we have already approved previously. And so the only change is the fenestration at the basement level to enclose that other street. So, I think that this, although it's relatively substantial, it's within the envelope of the approved changes that we approved back in June of 2022.
If there are no other comments, I would entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Ms. Wong's comments were, I have neither comments nor objections to this proposal.
we'll take it.
Mr. Burns.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 2025MV00015, located at 2113 Mason Hill Drive, tax map 0933200024 in the Holland Hills HOD, for the proposed alterations as submitted and presented at the May 8, 2025 ARB meeting. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2024. Should that say 2025?
Yeah, I apologize, it's 2023.
That should say 25.
Yes.
Dash MV-00015, as approved by the ARB on May 8, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101, historic overlay districts.
Is there a second? Ms. Mangum. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any objections? Oh, I'm sorry. Any opposition? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so very much.
Yep, have a good evening.
Good luck.
All right, that brings us to our...
Thank you. Next time we're back, it will only be for like a doctor.
That brings us to our sixth action item, ARB 2025 MV00016, 7807 Elbow Road alterations. The applicant is proposing the renovation of the kitchen and laundry area, and Andrew Goldberg represents the application. Ms. Goldberg, good evening.
Good evening. Daniel Goldberg, my husband. So we've lived in Holland Hills since 2006,
and we're renovating our kitchen, the majority of which is interior renovations, but there's some exterior windows and doors that we're looking to change.
Okay.
The next slide. This is the area of work on the plan. So the original house, it was added onto in, like, I think 1966 and 1996, and that's where the work is being done on the exterior. Next slide. That's a view from the street, and so you can see the addition that was added. It has a foyer in the front. Next slide. And the plan view, foyer in the front, and then it was originally a pantry, quasi laundry room. It only had the dryer, not the washer in it, and then an exterior closet. So we have existing clerestory windows and then an existing closet door. If you go to the next slide, this is what we're proposing to change, is to close in one of the clerestory and then increase the height and change the casement windows of two of them. And then in the rear, remove the door and add a window, which is incorrectly marked as 2 feet. We actually changed that to 30 inches after the review with the DRC in Holland Hills. Next slide. So this is a photograph of the existing closet door, which is metal, and then it has like a plywood siding to the right of it, not the T111, and then the existing clerestory windows. If you go to the next slide. This is a view out, like if those clerestory windows went down further, this is the view from those, and then the view from the new window where the door would be. And then we have the elevations of the existing clerestory windows. So we would propose infilling the one on the left with brick to match, and then increasing the height down to counter height, because we'll have kitchen counters at that location. And then the next slide is removing that door, putting in the 30-inch window, typical Holland Hills fixed at the top, and awning at the bottom, and then the T111 siding to the left. Next slide. And this is just, the window we were proposing is a 2.5-inch side, so it's the smallest possible, which was requested by the DRC. And then I think the rest of my presentation is just our permit sets, which is, yeah.
All right. Any member of the public wish to comment on this one? Okay. That being said, before I turn it over to my members, so I don't forget, let me add Ms. Huang's comments into the record. She said, my only comment, which is very minor, is to consider the type or the configuration of the new window at the kitchen sink, such as a single or triple, to alter the proportions to be more in line with the rest of the existing windows. With that being said, I have no objection to approve the project as it is presented. Mr. Plumpy.
Sure. On the east wall elevation, that's right here, you said putting brick to match. Can you just reuse the existing brick, clean it and use it?
That was my hope.
So it's seamless, I think.
Yeah, so when we removed the interior wall, that was originally exterior, and it had brick, and I personally saved brick from that.
I mean,
Yeah, and we could reuse some of that brick as well.
Reuse the existing outside brick that you're taking out to put the new windows.
Yeah,
That's
I think
what I would
so.
recommend.
Yeah.
I would not want to use any other brick, either from the inside of the house. I just use the outside, it's already weathered, just hopefully it's seamless. The mortar is going to be a challenge maybe to match. But thank you.
Other comments? Okay. If not, I'd entertain a motion. Ms. Hammond.
Want to make sure I'm reading the right one?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB-2025 MV 00034, located at 7704 Elbow Road.
Wrong one.
I am reading the wrong one? Oh my God, the other Elbow. But I did correct the date, but I'll start over. I'll start over, excuse me. Mr. Mr. Chairman, I move that ARB approve action item ARB-2025-MV-00015, located,
Six.
oh my God, I'm still doing the wrong one.
Number 6.
Item 6.
You're right, okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that I don't do any more of these for the rest. I move that ARB approve action item ARB-2025-MV-00016, located at 7807 Elba Road, tax map 1021-02-0007 in the Holland Hills HOD for the proposed alterations. I'd like to add modifications, so for the proposed alterations as submitted and presented at the May 8th, 2025 ARB meeting, subject to the following stipulation: that the void in the facade left by the removal of the window be infilled with salvaged exterior brick from the same elevation. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB-2025 MV-00016 as approved by the ARB on May 8th, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101-historic overlay districts.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Burns seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good evening. All right, that brings us to our final action item of the evening. ARB 2025-DR-00011, 1102 Chainbridge Road revisions. The ARB reviewed and approved the design for the construction of a new single-family dwelling on the property on June 9, 2022. The applicant is seeking approval for modifications to the ARB approved design to align with the as-built structure, and Mr. Jabouri represents the application. Mr. Jabouri, good evening.
Good evening to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Mr. Jabouri, I'm sorry. I was just going to take a minute to orient ourselves with this application again because there seemed to be some confusion at the last meeting. So just as the first time we heard this, we're just going to run through a presentation that lets the ARB know exactly what it is you're looking to approve. Okay. So if you might, may I have the floor? Yes. Mr. Zellman.
No objection, please.
Okay, so again, just to orient yourselves, this is 1102 Chambridge Road, tax map number 0223010057, and this is where it is in the historic overlay district, red circle. On June 9th, 2022, the ARB approved the construction of a new single-family dwelling at 1102 Chambridge Road. And those are the numbers as submitted and presented with the following condition: that the construction documents that are submitted accurately reflect the 3D front elevation view and 4 new renderings provided at the June 9th, 2022 ARB meeting. So essentially, you approved the renderings. Okay. So the applicant is now seeking modifications to the ARB approved design to align with the as-built structure. In February 2025, staff noted these particular differences. The roof line on the 3 gables on the southeast or the front elevation, the window heights and sizes on the front and second floor, first and second floors on the front elevation, the canopy over the entrance on the front elevation, the first story garage window on the front elevation, and then the second story windows on the side or the garage elevation wraps it, excuse me. And this is just in February 2025, these were the existing conditions. The ARB approved 3D front elevation on the left, and as of February, this was the existing condition. Next slide. These are the gable differences that were noted. The top is the rendering, and the bottom was the February 2025 representation. Next slide. Again, these are the windows and the canopy that was over the front entryway. ARB approved elevation. The right is the 2024 existing conditions. More just detail of the differences that were noted in the windows, particularly here. This is the garage window as of 2025, February 2025, and the 3D rendering on the left. And here's the side elevation, the garage elevation with the missing windows on the top. That's it. Thank you so much for letting
You're
me.
most welcome. Thank you for the explanation. It's going to be very helpful. Mr. Chairman, if you allow me, before we go anywhere to get to the meat of the matter, Mr. Tafty, the property owner, is sitting behind you. He's present here. He wanted me to express his sincere regret for the mistakes that have happened in the project, and he wants to assure you, the whole team wants to assure you that this was not to deceive with intent to ignore or disrespect the ARB. We have worked with this body before. We intend to work with this body again, and we enjoy redeveloping in the historic district, overlay district. Having said that, a bunch of mistakes have occurred that resulted in this outcome by different bodies. We ourselves, the review staff at the county, and perhaps the ARB. Having said that, can we go to the list of items? As was mentioned, there are 5 items that we have been served the violation on not matching the approved plans, which that is not necessarily correct. May I ask you to go to the next? This is the stamp on the cover of the plan that were approved by the staff. These are the building plans that we pulled the permit. And this set of plan shows the windows exactly the way they were constructed. Because of the approved plans, the developer ordered the windows. Both he and the staff missed the fact that they were supposed to match the 3D rendering and not what was shown in the plan. So going through this item by item, if I can ask you to go, I don't know if we can leave it there or whatever, but we modified the front building elevation to correct the roofline gables. And that, if you go to slide 4, these pictures are 48 hours old. This is how the front elevation looks. The next one, please. And then these also include the canopy that was narrowed down. We got away from that balcony look and made it look as such. Unfortunately, because of the way the studs are placed in the wall and all of that, we cannot replace the windows. Because we believe that by replacing the windows, we're going to have to add studs and all of that, and in the long run, we may compromise the integrity, structural integrity, and cause some leaks that are possible. So that's the only item on the 5 of the 5 that we cannot adhere to, unfortunately. The entrance canopy, we discussed that we have made it narrow, and I believe in the last meeting it was deemed close enough and acceptable. The window on the garage side, if we go to slide number 5, take this one. Evergreen has been planted to cover the window, but the reason we went to a narrower window was because the contract purchaser wanted to have more privacy and more security and not expose the interior of the garage as much as it would have been with the larger window. So they requested that this window being installed. And we were going to come back and share with you this revision, this change. But we are where we are now, and that never occurred. If we can go to slide number 8, please. There we go, this and the next one. So we had installed the windows in the last meeting, and the dislike was that they were extending out of the face of the window building. So we made modifications, and we insetted all the windows now. So they match, in our opinion, what the approved drawing showed. And then we were supposed to provide you with a revision to the elevation plan in the architectural drawings, which is slide number 3, I believe. If we can go back. This is, we've bubbled the changes, provided the decision is to approve this, then I have a question about the logistics of how this is going to work, because there is but I won't get into it. So this is my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jabouri. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to comment on this one? Okay, I'll turn it over to the board. Before I do, let me read Ms. Wong's comments into the record. She's not present. She said, I didn't see any additional resolution proposed since last month's lengthy discussion, and she remains objecting to this application. She's not here, she can't vote, but that was her comment. So I will turn it over to board members for questions or comments. Ms. Mangum.
Sure. On the subject of the windows, I understand your position is you're not going to change the windows. I think at the last meeting there was some discussion about whether you would look into the possibility of finding after-the-fact grids or mullions to add. Is that something you investigated, and what did you discover?
All the windows have mullions in them. If you go to, that is not part of the 5 items, so I did not want to share that on this. It came up. If you go to slide, bear with me a second, near the end, if you go all the way to the end, there, we have one more, please. A few more. One more. There we go. This is a close-up picture. All the windows, this is the appearance of them. Now, how vividly the mullions look in the pictures that were taken earlier, I don't think there is any requirement how vivid they need to be, but this is what the windows are in the other pictures that we're providing for you today. You can see that mullions are there. All the windows are just like this.
So you contend that the windows as constructed represent what was shown in the rendering? Because
Correct.
they include grids, even if the grids are not as visible as they were in the rendering.
Correct. The only thing that we have deviated from is the height of the windows. They're closer to the ground than the ARB was hoping for.
Mr. Burns.
At our last meeting, I'm sure you remember, I stated that the only thing that I found compatible with this design and the existing historic overlay district is the prominence of small pane windows, which in all photographs except 1 or 2 that you've shown are invisible. They are not visually prominent as they were in the rendering. And for that reason, you have not addressed the concern that I expressed last month. So I will state, I object to not having visibly prominent mullions and buttons.
Point well taken. Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Mr. Daniel?
Are the windows over the garage still false windows? They just are built into the wall, or
The
they
two, correct, yes.
so they are still more fixture than window?
Correct, because as mentioned, they are, on the inside, they are closets. And they did not want to have the closets exposed.
Okay.
Is it under contract? Who's they?
It was, because of the delay, they walked away. And the contract was shared with staff, so they are very well aware of what was offered and what was lost.
Yeah. So I'm going to share that one, non-functional windows is inconsistent with standard 5.6 of the guidelines for the Langley Fork Historic Overlay District, which says, and I will quote, building elements should be functional. So that's a non-functional building element. So I don't think that's consistent. They were proposed to be built windows. They're not built windows. They're not functional. I also would say it continues to have a situation that they're not consistent with standard 5.5, which is avoiding using a variety of window sizes and forms on a single structure. The building uses a variety of different sizes, inconsistent with the rendering that we approved, so it's still inconsistent with what we approved. And at this point, while I appreciate the efforts you've made to try to adjust the design, I don't think it's ever going to reach what the ARB attempted to approve with the rendering, and so I don't feel comfortable with approving it.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Yeah, Ms.
And maybe this isn't appropriate, but when I am you as my client, I build a model of what it could be. It is on me to draw that model that pleases you to present to the permitting office. They have no idea what I have agreed to with my client. You presented to us renderings. It was on you to go back and change your drawings to meet what we approved. That's not on us, and it's not on the permitting office. It's on you. So please stop saying that we goofed. Just
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions or comments? Okay. If not, I would entertain a motion. Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB deny action item ARB 2025-DR00011 located at 1102 Chainbridge Road, McLean, tax map 0223010057 in the Langley Fork Historic Overlay District for modifications to the approved ARB approved design for the construction of a new single-family dwelling to align with the as-built structure as submitted and presented at the May 8th, 2025 ARB meeting. The motion to deny the application is due to, despite modifications made by the applicant, the proposal remains inconsistent with the materials previously approved by the ARB. The application does not meet standard 5 of the, specifically standards 5.5 and 5.6 of the Langley Fork Historic Overlay District design guidelines. Further, the design as built is not in keeping with the character of the Langley Fork Historic Overlay District to be preserved and enhanced. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found not to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 Historic Overlay Districts.
Is there a second by Mr. Burns? I'm going to take a roll call vote because I think that's the appropriate way to do this one. And I'm going to go around the table and the chair is going to vote.
Don't forget we have an online.
I know we'll have Ms. Rapetti vote second to last and the chair will vote last. I'll start with Mr. Plumpy.
I'm going to abstain.
Mr. Plumpy abstains. Mr. Burns.
I approve the denial motion.
Yeah, I would just remind people that a yes vote is to approve the denial motion and a no vote is to disagree with the denial motion. Ms. Orr.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Mr. Daniel.
Yay.
Ms. Hanning.
I will vote yes to deny.
Ms. Mangum.
Yes.
Ms. Rapetti.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. What's that vote, Brian?
So we have 2 abstentions and 6 Yeah, it is.
Okay. I wanted to make sure. Based on the vote, Mr. Javorri, 6 yeas, we needed 6 votes for there to be quorum. There are 6 votes to meet quorum. So we have voted to deny the application. I understand, I think you understand what the next steps are from here, I assume, but I think Ms. Dressel, I know the notice of violation is before the Board of Zoning Appeals, and obviously our decision can be appealed to the Board of Supervisors as well.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the folks who are here for workshop. I very much appreciate your patience. I think the board's just going to take a 5-minute break, let people use the restroom and that sort of thing. So we're going to take 5 minutes and then we'll be back.
Yes,
I'm not so you're writing.
Twice ever denied something.
All right, we are back, calling the meeting back to order, and we're moving into our items for workshop. First is ARB WK 2025 MV 0010, 2321 Kimbrough Street, alteration. The applicant proposes the replacement of select areas of the existing siding and windows. Benjamin Lee represents the application. Sir, good evening. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. I was Googling really good icebreaker jokes to tell after a stressful situation. I didn't find anything that I could share.
You should have been here last month.
Yeah, that was nothing.
But we appreciate you.
I'll do what I can. Do I talk now? Okay.
Yeah, please rock and roll with your presentation. You present, try to limit it to 8 minutes or so, and then we will provide our comments and feedback after you present.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the front of my house. You could probably just start going through these, whoever's driving. The big portion of the changes that we need to make are on the rear of the house. That's this section back here. This is an addition that was put in 4 years after the house was built by the original owners. And then there's a small section here at the front that these windows have a fair amount of rot around them, and they need to be replaced, as well as the siding up until this point. So this here is the kitchen. So everything from the kitchen that way would be replaced in this. And so that siding scope would remain with T111 on the main house. On the addition, I would like to switch to a V-groove horizontal siding as a replacement. But the original house would stay the same. Any window replacements will be replaced with in-kind, and they will remain the exact same dimensions. These 2 windows here originally had windows up top, and I'm going to add them back. Next slide. This is, these may not be in great order, but this talks about the window scope dominantly. There's really only one window that I would like to move. It would stay the same dimensions, same scope, same replacement. It would just move from this window here to, I would move it onto this wall. And the primary reason for that is where this roof and these walls meet is a really difficult area to waterproof and get flashed properly. And so it's been a problem longer than I've owned the house. If I delete this window and move it here, then this area can be significantly more easily waterproofed. And so the structure would stay longer. So that's really the only difference in terms of window replacements that we're talking about. All of the windows in the addition area already have double paned non-operable windows. I'd be replacing in kind. The bottom windows, I'm sorry, I just hit that a little harder than I wanted, but the bottom windows would be replaced with Anderson 400. That was recommended by the DRC. So you can go to the next slide. And this goes from elevation to elevation, so we could probably roll through this because I think I talked a lot about it already. Talked about these 2 foreground windows, the plans for there. We can roll to the next slide. This next slide sort of really dives into this addition area. You can see that the siding is deteriorating pretty dramatically. Both of these windows have a significant amount of rot in them, and the waterproofing is bad enough that I have a dehumidifier running full time. That's my son's room, makes me feel bad, so wanted to get that fixed up. So next slide. This is the window wall that is in my son's room as well. All of the dimensions will stay the exact same and just replaced with Anderson 400 windows in this area. This is my office up here. It has pretty much the exact same profile and same operable windows would be installed there. This is that intersection. It's a little close-up. You know, it's been a problem for long enough that we just need to take care of it. I've done a lot of work to try and keep the water out. It's not working, and so just, you know, taking it down to the studs and building it back again is really where we are. Next slide. This just talks about the moving of the window, and just note the staining there. That's just always a problem. And then the next couple of slides kind of are the SketchUp drawings, and they just kind of show more or less what I'm hoping to accomplish from the V-groove siding. As we mentioned, this shows the additional window that I would be adding on those two foreground windows that we spoke about before, and then all of the siding would remain T111 here. It's only on the new addition that we would go with horizontal V-groove. You can go to the next slide and just kind of keep walking around the house. Here's that window wall in my son's room. Here's the one in my office. And then that V-groove siding will go all the way around. One more slide, and you will see the new window placement would go here at where it was originally over here. So the next slide also contains just some details. Anderson 400 series slider and I gave the links to that. James Hardy artisan siding V-groove, I gave the link to that. And then the main house would use T111, which is pretty traditional. The slide after that will show, if you're interested, well, it also shows the links to the siding products that we're looking at. This would roughly be what it would look like. And then one more slide after this. If you're interested, these pictures are available online. If you want to inspect them more specifically, you can just go to that link, and then the SketchUp model is also available. You can click on that link and view it if you like.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That was less than 8 minutes, I think.
I think that was great. All right, we do not need public comment on workshops, so questions and comments from board members. Mr. Daniel.
Ms. Hammack actually had her hand up first.
Ms. Hammack?
Okay, all right.
Unless you were just thinking.
No, I have thoughts.
Ms. Hammack, then Mr. Daniel.
Okay.
One question, the finish of the new horizontal siding, do you want it to be like a natural or a stain?
I had considered wood early on. It's cost prohibitive, and so with the Hardy, we would likely paint it. And so the finish would be a paint that would be either matching the original paint, or we would repaint the whole house all one color. But with this particular edition, it's kind of like the jewel on a ring, and so we may end up painting it a different color, but the finishing would be roughly the same as the rest of the house.
Well, I prefer a painted finish though, but I guess it works. And then when you come back, will you please have some existing condition photographs of your entire home?
Sure.
So I can see how the changes would work with the entire home. And also, I think, no, I'm looking on Google Earth. It is not a recent shot, and it's pretty wooded, but I'm assuming you cannot see this addition from Hopa Court?
No, Hopa definitely not.
Okay.
If you go to the first slide, there is one small location that you can see, and it's right here. And that you can see that from the front. And this area right here is currently T111 siding, but from the front of the house, that's the only place that you can see it. From the rear of the house, there is a cul-de-sac behind us.
Yeah, that's that.
And it looks in on that addition. So it's visible from the other side, the cul-de-sac behind us.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that's a public right-of-way. It's not the primary elevation, but I am interested in how visible the addition is. I don't want to say addition, the existing condition, because you're not proposing an addition, is from that public right-of-way. So when you come back.
Sure, yeah, that's no problem.
Yeah, that's
your
it.
comments? Okay.
Ms. Hammack touched on a lot of what so one, I'd like to better understand the addition in relation to the house. And it's always interesting, almost every house in Holland Hills, when they have additions, they're always an interesting thing to discover because they were all feel like they were designed in a fascinating way. And I'm sure folks will say that about the ones that are all being approved by this board too. So I was looking at our guidelines because that's been a big thing I've been going to today. And obviously, the recommended guidelines are obviously looking for your vertical or T111, but it does talk about horizontal beveled wood siding, which I think my similar questions that Ms. Hammack had is, I don't want to do something that's going to detract from the house. I think the addition exists, but I don't want the material to suddenly make the addition a new beacon. But that visual context on how you can see it from the main street already makes sense. It's not very visible. And so I agree with her, something that's painted would be ideal. It's what I'd be looking for. Otherwise, you've given a great breakdown of some of the problems that you're running into and why the work's needed. So I'm also happy to see windows restored where they should be. So otherwise, I think the big thing will be making sure that the plan's set, and as you heard in the last one, knowing exactly what windows you're installing and telling us that so that we know what we're approving when you come in for an application is obviously critical.
Sure.
Or it'll lead to a long torrid affair of meetings.
I do my best to avoid torrid affairs. Quick question as it relates to windows. Other than knowing that they're Anderson 400, do I need to supply additional information or?
A cut sheet is usually what we're looking for.
Cut sheets? Okay.
Which should be available from the manufacturer.
Of course.
Yeah.
And they may be available on that link. I just didn't know to bring them, but I can absolutely get that.
And what you're proposing, at least from my perspective, seems fine, but I'm prepping you for when folks go from a workshop to an application, we definitely are expecting the full package at an application so that we know exactly what's getting built, constructed, or done, so that we feel comfortable approving it.
Of course. Another question. We're replacing the windows. The frames themselves will be rebuilt to the exact same dimensions, including the exact same joinery that exists. So we're trying to get it as close as possible to the original, with the notable exception of all the rot. I'm trying to leave that out. And so, how deep do you need me to go in terms of what the plans are? Are we talking down to the joinery level, or, which I'm happy to do, that's not a problem.
I think because it's a modern, it's not an original elevation, it's an addition that we perhaps wouldn't need. I don't want to speak for my board members, but in my experience, we're less precious about replacing windows on non-original additions that don't have historic significance in their own right.
Sure.
Which this one doesn't. But Mr. Burns.
That's good.
We've had debates on what is.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I would say we're not going to get mad if you bring. So, but Mr. Burns can speak to that.
Okay.
And then Mr. Plumpy after Mr. Burns.
Okay, you are introducing new materials in both the historic part of the house and the also significant part of the addition, which you mentioned was an early addition on the property. So I would say that I would classify it as part of the historic property, not as a later addition that we might ease off on a bit. So I disagree with you.
No, that's a good point.
Okay. Now, original materials. You mentioned you're going to replace in the original mass of the house with T111 siding.
That's right.
T111 siding is not really available anymore. The stuff that's available today, it's called Type 303.
Okay.
The original, I don't know what your original T111 siding was like. Originally, it was smooth sanded on the face with sharp edged grooves. Right? The Type 303 is rough sanded.
Okay.
It looks like unfinished boards. Yep. And it has like a wedge shape to the groove with 3 saw marks in the base of the groove.
Yep.
So that's, I don't know which you have on the original part of your house.
On the original part of the house, there have been some replacements, and there are replacements with the 303 that you are suggesting.
Yeah, okay. So my recommendation here is, everybody kind of has to go with 303. You might consider smooth sanding it, so it'll be a closer match to the original siding on the house. Also, the 2x6s that they used in the original construction, rabbited, was based on lumber grading at that time. So a contemporary 2x6 is a little bit smaller.
Yep.
And so when you go to, if you're trying to replace them exactly, you're going to miss unless you take a 3x8 and cut it down. So just recognize you're going to have some issues because a contemporary 2x6 isn't the same as 2x6 from, what is this, 1958 or so?
Oh, no. My house was built, it was one of the later houses built in
1970. I just looked it up,
Okay.
1970, and the addition dates from 1974.
Okay.
So you were right.
But you're absolutely right, because the bottom floor on the front is 3 by 6.5 or so.
That's because it carries the second floor load.
Indeed.
And then it's offset.
In the addition, it's all dimensional lumber, but it is nowhere close to being a 2x6, and so we would be, I've gone to a couple of lumber yards to try and purchase what I'm looking for, and one of the guys at the lumber yard told me that I should try and make friends with an Amish person. So, in the grand scheme of things, the goal would be to oversize and then get it so the measurements are exact.
Okay, and then you're proposing a different siding on the addition, hardy plank.
That's
right. Okay. For that one, I would, again, to match closer to the original siding, I would say don't use the pseudo wood grain side of the hardy plank, use the smooth side of the hardy plank.
Yep.
And then if you paint it, be the same. I would recommend against a variegated color pattern like you've shown in your renderings.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That it should be a consistent color, a uniform color throughout. And I agree with whoever it was who said we need more pictures and better context.
Sure.
And my last question is was this house previously owned by the Levitts?
From what I understand, there
Come down Kimbrough.
It's all the way at the end, right at the end.
And there's the one driveway that does this, and you're right there.
Yep.
Okay, that was the Levitt's house at one point. Okay.
Is that good or bad?
That was a neighbor I knew.
That was the party house?
No. I just wanted to make sure I had the right context because it looked like that.
Well, my wife and I have gone through the standards, and I'm loath to tell you that my house is one of the pictures on both what to do and what not to do. And we're working very hard to get everything on the to-do column.
It's a really unique house.
Yeah, we love it.
Mr. Plumpy.
Sure. When you come back, could you give us a color sample of what you're going to paint the house? You said you had potentially 2 different colors, one for the beacon of the new addition.
Sure.
It's not too much of a beacon. And then the main part of the house, and also your trim colors. Can you bring those in?
Sure. Happy to. We're going to keep the trim the original color, so it'll all be white. But yeah, that's no problem.
I think the siding colors are color. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this workshop?
Maybe turn it off.
I think I actually had one question, and I'm trying to remember it now. Oh, any issues with moving the window on that northeast corner?
I think they're dealing with a problem, trying to find a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's called caulk.
I don't know. I put a mountain of caulk in that window already. I don't think that's going to do it. The house will float away sooner than stop the water.
I'm sure in the drawings it will be clear, but when your hand sketch there makes it look like it's going to be a triangular window, but when you go to the rendering, you were saying it's identical, and I was like, it's actually not. It looks like, I'm sure that will be clarified in the actual drawings.
Yeah, so this one is the exact same dimensions as the same one that's here.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Yep. You have a good evening. All right.
Hopefully this one was easier than the last one.
Yes, sir. That brings us to our second item for workshop, ARB WK 2025 MV 00011 7209 Beechwood Road addition. Applicant proposes a new 2-story addition on the rear of the existing house. Ms. Kelly represents the application. Ms. Kelly, good evening, and thank you for your patience. Although I think we did pretty good.
efficiently.
We did, yeah.
So,
Compared to last month.
yeah.
Very good.
Rock and roll.
My client, Kate Hewitt, and we're here for our second workshop. We responded to the comments from the first review and wanted to use this meeting to affirm that we're on the right track when we come back for final approval. So I'll just take you through the site again. I added a few more. We're doing an addition, a two-story addition on the back of the house, and we'll go to the site photos. I added a few more photos from the street so you can see that there is a gradual grade from the street up to the house so that the two-story addition in the back will not appear as prominent as they seem in the elevations. The house is a little bit hard to photograph from the street because it's heavily wooded, and here's another view of the front of the house. The next slide, please. I'll just take you around the house to remind you. It's the existing front entry and the driveway. Next slide, please. Coming around the back, and I have the red arrows as to where this two-story addition is going. And the next slide, please. And again, just to give you a little bit of the views around the house. And the next slide, please. This is the existing floor plan. And the next slide. We haven't made any changes to the first floor plan. We are adding a deck, a grade level deck on the back of the house, which is shown with this curve right here. The next slide. The second story addition, we have overhanged over the first story by 1 foot to reflect a detail that's common in Holland Hills and also to break up the large facade that you were concerned about at the last meeting. The next slide, please. This is the view from the front. I brought the roof line down 1 foot so that the plate height at the back is 7 feet, and then at the highest point it's 10 feet, whereas previously it was 8 and 11, and that just to help reduce the mass, which we received some comments about. It added the clear story windows here from the front view, and then coming around to the west side, there's adding this overhang, so we have the delineation of breaking up the large facade and the windows. We reduced the number of windows on the second floor and also lowered them from 8 feet to 7 feet head height so that they don't appear as heavy. And the next slide, please. One other change that we did is previously this little roof line over the bathroom was a shed roof. We changed it to a gable to better reflect the roof line of the main house. And then coming around to the back of the addition, again, just lowering the roof line so it doesn't seem as heavy and tall and overbearing. And we welcome your feedback.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Questions and comments, Mr. Day.
I really appreciate the changes, and I think it looks cute now. Yeah, it looks, all the little reductions have made it
It doesn't look
much
as commercial.
less imposing.
It's a treehouse, right?
It feels, you know,
I wanted it to feel like.
Yeah, this is a treehouse.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
so, yeah, I think you could, just looking at the designs when I saw the set, it just looks more compact, despite, I think you're still trying to maintain your client's amount of space they're looking for, but doesn't overwhelm the new house, which is, I think, the worry I had last time, so that's my comment.
Thank you, sir.
You can take the cute or leave it, it's up to you.
Okay, I like it.
Fair enough. Mr. Burns.
Yes, thank you for taking into careful consideration the comments you got from the ARB last time. And I do think that the changes, as Mr. Daniel pointed out, although you now have a larger second floor,
Right, by 1
right?
foot, yes.
It actually looks less imposing.
It does, yes, it does.
Which is, so you got a, 2 for 1 there. It overall has improved the aesthetics of the design. It visually is less imposing, which is one of the things that we had a concern about, and I think you're very much on the right track.
Great, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, that brings us into our final item for workshop, which is ARB WK 2025 MV 00012.
which is the 2201 Martha Road addition. The applicant proposes.
Welcome. Good night. Thank you for staying.
Yeah.
The applicant proposes a new one-story courtyard addition, new attached carport, and detached shed to the existing home. Ms. Kelly represents the application. Ms. Kelly, the floor is yours.
Thank you, board members. My clients, Jenna and Corey, wanted to be here. They had a conflict, but they will be here at future ARB meetings. Design is very important to them, and they're apologize for having to do this is an existing one-story house. There is an existing detached structure in the front yard that was built in 1984 that's used as a studio kind of cut space right now. We're proposing quite a bit. A carport that we would be asking for a special permit to fit onto the lot. There's a detached shed and then a courtyard addition in the back that would create a courtyard for a new pool. Next slide, please. These pictures will take you on a tour around the house. This is our existing views from the street. This is the existing detached structure, and then the main house and the front door and entry is right there. And this is a view of the existing detached structure. The next slide, please. Some other views from the street, the driveway looking up to the main house, and this is the existing front entry. And then coming around the back, the new addition would be coming off the windows right here, coming out, and then creating a courtyard around this area. And another view of where the courtyard would be. In the next slide, please. These are more views of the backyard. The courtyard area would be here, and you can see the neighbors have a little tea house in their backyard. And again, another view of the addition coming off here to create a courtyard around this area, and the pool would be right here. The next slide, please. This is the existing footprint of the house, so one single home and the existing flex storage office space that they use right now. And the next slide, please, is the new addition. That you can see the existing house. The carport would connect into the front covered area right here. This is a detached shed that would be used as a workshop. And then coming off the back of the living space, we'd extend the living space, create a hallway, coming around to a primary bedroom suite. And we've stepped back the addition to work with the side yard setback. We do have an encroachment right here, just trying to work, keep the courtyard a nice size. We couldn't avoid that, but in asking for the special permit for the carport, we would also ask for the special permit for that corner. And the rest of the house fits nicely in the backyard. The next slide, please. Here's the existing house. We have a flat roof over the hallway connector and then a butterfly roof over the primary bedroom, bathroom suite. And the next slide, please. We have a flat roof over the carport. These are the existing structures, and you'll see a little bit of the butterfly in the back. And I've added a few of the 3D images just from the computer program to help you visualize those. And then from the courtyard side, this is the existing house. These are the doors along the courtyard looking out to the pool, and then this is the primary bedroom suite here. This is the existing studio. The next slide, please. And taking you around the back of the house, this is the butterfly primary bedroom suite, the flat roof, hallway connector to the main house beyond. And this is the flat roof over the carport. So I know there's a lot going on, but welcome your comments.
Do you have a photograph of that building in the front yard?
Yes. It's right here. Right here.
I just looked it up. It is from 1984, and looking at it, I think we can say that it's not a significant new building.
I was born in 1984.
Well, I'm older than you, so I can say with authority that I subscribe to the philosophy that when asking for a big ask, which my head's kind of spinning, this seems like a big ask, a lot of changes. It's nice to sweeten the deal with some good preservation work on elevations that are visible from the street. You know, like, hey, we're going to alter the part of the property that people on public right away can't see, and we're going to restore, enhance, bring back some original features, whatever, to the visible elevations. So my question is, can that go away? Because then you could see more of the historic home from the street. And everything new could be in the rear. That was my comment.
Okay, Mr. Plumpy.
Sure. On the site plan, sorry, Nate. On the site plan, you go back to the, what have the property line on it. Is your proposed building, that shed, that's almost touching the property line?
Yes, but it's not any taller than, it's 1 foot from the property line.
And how close is the other house next to you?
I don't know.
We could get a context, I'm saying, like maybe have the neighboring lot where that house is on this plan, have on a lot. And so you ask for a variance for that too as well, right?
No, you can build a shed up to 1 foot from the property line as long as it's not larger than 250 square feet or taller than 8.5 feet.
Okay.
It looks like it might abut another shed or garage, like,
I see it, okay.
yeah, so, I don't know.
So they could connect sheds?
There is a structure nearby, but the primary home is
The neighbor does have a shed that's very close to this area.
And then-
But I will include that information.
Yeah, and then Ms. Hoare, it'd be good to see, take a photograph of what that shed is and kind of sketch in your SketchUp, whatever, how they relate to each other. And Ms. Hoare just whispered that the carport's in the front setback, that you're getting variance for that.
Special permit, yes.
Special permit, whatever, okay. Is that, that should not be a problem, it's pretty typical?
I've asked for them before. It's,
Yeah, well-
I don't want to say it's not a problem. Of course, they're
It's pretty big,
they're
it's a
never
two-car versus the one car.
It's a two-car carport, yes.
And the driveway will be, can you show the driveway in the future?
Yes, right, yeah. Let's
Right now you have
go
the-
to the plan,
You have
the first slide.
So right there on that photograph where you have the parking scope back?
The back.
Yeah, yeah. So where's the carport on there?
It's right here. So right now the driveway comes in this way from the street. It'll get reworked to
Do you
go.
take out some of that pavement?
Yes.
That existing pavement to
Yes.
minimize the amount of pavement?
But it's going to be on the side with the chimney.
The chimney won't
It's
see.
sitting in front.
It's going to obscure the chimney.
No, it's sitting in front here. It doesn't obscure the chimney. The carport is sitting in front of, it aligns right here and comes out.
I mean, a car sits under a carport.
I mean, won't the shed obscure the chimney?
Yes.
Okay. It's, so,
Yeah,
you're right, it's a lot to process.
Yes,
It's
it is.
almost like the building has a little tail growing off it,
Two tails.
and, well, I'm setting aside like the shed structure
Right.
and the car part right now. I guess, so
Compound.
part of me is trying to understand, I feel like I'm taking to heart a lot of what Ms. Orr said to me earlier about, obviously, you being the architect working with your client. I feel like there's this drive to have this enclosed pool space, or is that what's, like, I'm trying to figure out what's driving that tail. And I know you have a site plan, or a site that's also these, and this has been a challenge with many of the ones you brought with us, is they are weirdly positioned in the lot in a way that you have to work around it, but this one very much seems like it's working around a courtyard that is desired.
Yes, the desire is to create a courtyard, and the shape of the lot and the setbacks are sort of driving this tail and how the stepping of the tail, and yes.
Because that's what I'm trying to think in my head. Since this is a workshop, I'm like, okay, what is, without the owner being here, what are they pushing you to try to create for them? Which it seems, when you look at it, I'm like, they're looking like they're trying to create a space behind the house. And then that space, the building behind the space is their bedroom space, but it's creating this inner space. And to do that, it just feels like there's a lot of fighting with the lot to get to achieve that. And I've been trying to wrangle in my head, and this is I'm not an architect, so I'm having a much harder time than I imagine you probably already were like, okay, how can I fit this in here without already jumping through setbacks left and right? I'm assuming the connectivity is desired without going outside. I'm imagining someone does not want to go in and out, because it would seem so much simpler if one could pass between spaces as opposed to taking a winding hall to them to have to do that kind of juke. But I mean, this is just me thinking out loud because I'm trying to work, or does it? I don't. Could you move
That hall.
the hall further in and?
Not have to sit back.
Yes, and yes, we have explored a few different options, and this is the one they kept coming back to. We thought we'd start with this workshop and get your feedback and hear your thoughts. But yes, the desire to create the courtyard and the pool and working with the angles of the lot is all.
I'd almost kind of find it neat if the connective hallway reflected the angle of the lot as opposed to a right angle, and created less of just another rectangular space and then a rectangular space. It feels like it's kind of Tetris-y in that sense, but I don't know.
We're putting a dining table out here before the pool.
Or that's what they're envisioning, or something else?
Yes,
That makes
yes,
sense.
to leave some
There's a grill or
space when the pool's not in use, some space, outdoor space for entertaining.
What are they using the shed for? It's a pretty big shed. It's almost as big as your car. Is it for a distillery or what?
You can't do a distillery in Virginia, I've looked into it.
All right, sorry.
Corey, he's.
No, I mean the new shed.
Yeah, right. Corey, he's a woodworker and builds furniture, and he would like to use that as a workshop.
So that has this easy access off the drive and so
Yes,
forth.
and right now he has a lot of, this is kind of an office/workshop. He has a lot of tools in here. He'd like one place for the
Well,
tools
it's
to
interesting
live.
what Ms. Haley mentioned is, why is it there? I mean, could you tear down the shed?
I'll ask them.
Well, before you do.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is where I was looking to Mr. Burns because I know we've had this conversation come up before about where does the period of significance end, or, does it vary parcel by parcel? But yes, I mean, I think there's a question in my mind about whether that structure, even though it was, constructed in 1984, I think you've called some features, this is probably not one of them, but prominent architectural features that even if they were added later, that I guess there's a list or something that you all developed when you were working on the HOD, not you all board, collective board, about defining what the contributing.
That was more staff.
Okay.
Me and Ms. Orr and Ms.
Well,
Murray.
this is a
Yeah, the
house
staff
building.
came up with that.
It is, but I think there's just general questions about, we've had another person come and present here before who was very surprised when we told her that the feature she thought was certainly non-contributing to the historic property was in fact considered within the period of significance for that property. It was something that was,
Rebecca?
I think, yes, with the, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not blanket, there doesn't seem to be a clear date or structure type.
What I recall, and Kay, you correct me if I'm wrong, but what I recall when we were determining whether structures were contributing or non-contributing, we were kind of considering everything as a whole. And then if we felt if there was enough there for it to be contributing, was contributing. We felt if so much had changed from the original Goodman design, we would say it was non-contributing, but we didn't break it down by like the house, the outbuilding, the addition to the original Goodman design.
Yeah.
We didn't do that, as I recall.
I mean, this outbuilding has no style. Like, it's some of these, Mr. Burns probably wants to speak, but anyway, I've seen sheds that have styles, and this one really just looks simple to me.
Okay, in Fairfax County, you can't have a freestanding accessory structure in the front yard. That one's already there. How it got there, I have no idea.
You wonder.
That's one thing. And frankly, it looks like a garage that somebody enclosed, because it's right up the head of the driveway. So, when you look at your existing condition photograph, that's what it looks like. And how it got there and who approved it, it's really something I cannot explain. Then the proposed carport, I generally object to giving primacy to the automobile over the architecture. And so I always object to carports in front yards. This one's not only in the front yard, but it's way over the setback. I mean, like substantially. It's not like 7704 Elba, where we're talking about a few feet of the corner of a roof overhang. This is a two-car carport. And it's what? It's 2/3 maybe into the front yard setback. That is really substantial. The one redeeming feature that it has is it at least has a flat roof, so it's a relatively slim profile. And then we have immediately behind that, now conveniently hidden behind the two cars, is a large, visible from the street, wood shop. Yeah, thank you, Joe. And that's something. And then the other thing occurred to me is we may have created a monster when we approved the house on Stafford. It had all the little zigzag setbacks to accommodate them. And it suddenly occurred to me that part of the thing that people, that at least I object to on Holland Hills, is using property lines and side yard setbacks as form givers for the architecture. And that's what it is. I mean, the entire massing of that as it goes back is really driven by side yard setbacks. And I think that's an artificial construct. One thing that occurred to me is, have you thought about a nice broad curve back there? You know, stay away from the side yard setback and just have a curved feature that would lead into the...
Like a curved exterior wall or something?
Yeah. Just like, in colonial times, you'd have the outbuildings and you have the little curved wall, like Mount Vernon. You could do something of that sort and avoid that poke into the side yard setback. But yes, this appears to be potentially legally obtainable in terms of the zoning and the special permit exceptions that one could get. But boy, it really does a lot of damage to the overall character of that lot. And I agree with Joe that the adjacency of the property, in this instance to the left, is something I would be concerned about as well.
Could you find a different location for his workshop and then maybe push the carport back out of the front, more of it out of the front?
Or following up on Ms. Hammack's observation, get rid of the front yard shed, put the carport there.
And or put the workshop, just keep where it is. In full view.
No, get rid of the existing one and make that the carport.
Yeah, but but the new carport goes away, so where's the woodshed?
Well, we can do the Mr. Jabori technique of planting large evergreens.
Okay. For the windows, behind the windows. Sorry. That's a good point.
I wish that the two masses weren't attached, that you could just walk, or maybe it's something much lighter, like a glass corridor, because, all the principles of an addition, like, doesn't overwhelm or dramatically change. I don't know how to justify the massing of and the connection of the new addition in the back to why it's appropriate.
It's just very apparent, I think, that you're working around a constraint that you're trying, and
everyone is.
And you're working with a lot that's challenging you too. Because I was kind of thinking, I like the curve idea too, because I was trying to think about, you're saying don't design. I was thinking, well, could you even do an actual diagonal as opposed to this stepping, which would lead into something that might have you move the pool some or change this courtyard.
Can you shift the pool over to the right more to give you more freedom on the
Things
left.
down.
Because you got space to burn unless there's something impeding the pool from going to the right.
Future expansion.
I mean, I will say I agree with Mr. Burns, though. I was even talking about the garage or the workshop, but the setbacks up there definitely are much more extensive than the ones that we were okay with earlier because we were talking about just slight deviations of the setback. And you've got all this stuff blocking the chimney. There's a lot going on up front, too, but
I think it's good also to show where your new HVAC equipment is and the pool equipment is, because that's going to affect parts of the lot. I mean, those are decent sized footprint. I'm assuming there's going to be probably 2 HVAC units, condensers, and the pool equipment. That's probably a finite.
Second zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or third zone for the workshop, I assume will be a year-round workshop, right?
Yes.
So that's,
Mr. Burns, I was just reading the report, and so this is unit number 3, and they were built between 51 and 53. It looks to me to be one of the smallest homes in Holland Hills.
this was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've come over this a lot where we have small homes and,
There's small homes there.
Yeah,
These
and,
were
but we still
modest
need to
homes.
say it doesn't overwhelm or detract from, and so small homes can only get proportionately bigger and still be in keeping with an appropriateness argument. And that's, I don't know, that's like a tough pill to swallow. But I think that, like, I want to be consistent in that. And, if historically it was a small home, then like maybe it's going to not be able to get as big as some other homes that were historically built larger.
when you're dealing with a sum of a bunch of different things that collectively, when they all add up, they make as you're saying, a much bigger development of square footage on this much modest house.
Yeah.
And taken perhaps each one, I think you can find a way to work with each of them, but doing collectively, we're having a much harder time of reconciling all these. Maybe many of them might be modest in their own right, but all of them put together is a significant addition on a modest house.
But the good part of it is all the major addition is on the backside of the house, which you really can't see from the roadway.
Yeah, and
I could go for 20 miles if I wanted to, but at least the front still looks more.
Yeah, but then when you do the carport and the
No,
two
no, no, no,
sheds,
no, the carport
yeah,
is,
I think that's why.
I mean, I got the carport and the shed, I don't think work.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Burns.
Yeah, the side yard setback to the right, is the existing shed substantially into that side yard setback too?
How about
I
that?
want to see the permit history for that shed.
Yes, it's about 5 feet from the side yard property line, and it sits inside the 35 foot. It's in both the side yard and the front yard.
Yeah, so how did that get approved? You were on that. Well, just kidding.
Not back then.
Well, Daniel wasn't born, so
I was-
he didn't approve it.
It depends on when
was
it was
too.
built. I might have just been born.
I was 2.
The house was already 30 years old by the time it was built.
All right.
I'm giving you a lot.
I think that's a lot, Ms. Kelly. I know that's a lot, but I think the project is
It's
a
a
lot.
starting
so.
point, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
it.
Marinate
I guess the
on
assumption is
it.
we'll come back for another workshop, right?
Yeah, I think it could
I
come
think
back
that's up to
for
Ms.
another-
Kelly and her client, but that would probably be
Oh,
advisable.
yeah, we'll be here for that. And Cory and Jenna will be here too, so we can.
Yes,
And,
ma'am.
and talk to the neighbors about the setback stuff.
Good point. That's a good question. Have you talked to the neighbors already?
We haven't yet because this is our first.
First
this is-
iteration.
But we will, and then as you said, John, once if it does go to the special permit there, and it does require notification of all neighbors touching the property.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms.
Okay,
Kelly.
thank you.
Yep, have a good evening.
Thank you so much for staying.
Okay, yes, thank you for staying. All right, moving on to the agenda, we have no presentations, so that brings us into board and staff items. The first item is review and action on the previous month's minutes. Did anybody have any changes to the previous month's minutes? Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chair, I move the area approve the April 10th, 2025 meeting minutes of Dave, the clerk, Brian Johnson.
Is there a second? Ms. Mangum. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Our treasurer's report, our ending balances of April 18th of this year was $21,836.74. Denise, anything else on that?
No.
Great. Moving on to discussion, updates, and reports. The Planner 3 ARB administrator vacant position, we have no update at this time. Is that still the case? Excellent. Any correspondence or announcements? Okay. Any old...
Can your office hire an intern?
No.
No summer interns?
No.
We're at but
They're having budget problems to begin with right now in the county.
The intern will work for free.
I mean, the UVA has reached out to me, look, so I
really
wish. Yeah.
And I didn't even go to UVA.
Oh, they're really pushing.
All right. We have no old business. Is that correct, Denise?
That's correct.
Great.
Wow.
Is there any new business that you have, Denise?
I do not have any new business.
Does anyone on the board have any new business?
I propose team bonding at the rock climbing.
Yeah, correct, sure.
Next fall.
All right, if
Falls
there
for
is,
everybody.
if there is no new business, I would entertain a motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? We are adjourned.
All right.